Okay, hello and welcome back to the third day, literally, of live streaming Night Cascades. We have made it through two days worth of investigation in this mystery. It's about two women investigating occult-themed fires, setting the city on edge. One of the women is a police detective. The other woman has a degree in folklore from the university. And, moreover, they were lovers in college. This is set in the 80s when homophobia is still very much a problem. So that is an additional stumbling block to their situation. So I would say not a large one, considering they were once together. So here we go. Starting with day 3. We are back, and so day 1 we experienced it from Diane's point of view. Day 2, we experienced it from Jackie's point of view. So we're back to Diane's point of view. So we did get some insight into both women and their views of the situation. Jackie thought Diane had gotten married and had kids, but it turns out what she thought was Diane's kid was actually her dog. So that's amusing. But anyway, I do not wake with the crack of dawn, but it's still a little earlier than I prefer. I don't understand people who think mornings are their favorite part of the day. Even when I absolutely have to rest, I don't feel very much like shining. Late, lazy mornings are something else entirely. It's when I can just lounge in bed with the sun coming through my curtains, feeling warm and soft and comfortable, in no hurry to go anywhere or do anything. I know that feeling. Especially if I've got someone sweet to share my bed with. Someone sweet with a wet tongue. Yes, I love your kisses, you beautiful boy. My fingers drift through his fur, reassured by softness. The sweet interlude is interrupted by a monstrous growling. That's him in my stomach. I have to get up. Well, that doesn't mean I can't treat myself. Come on, boy, let's have pancakes. I mix up a batch of batter in the sunny kitchen, humming tunelessly to myself. I know I can't sing, but Timmy doesn't mind. The first pancake to hit the pan always comes out a little funny. If it doesn't turn in a flip, it'll still be the wrong color or uneven or blobby. Timmy is more than happy to take care of the ritual sacrifice. Well, I'm sure he does. The rest, once properly decorated with butter and syrup and berries, are for me. I don't bother with berries, but the rest, yes, please. I probably make too many, but it's home cooking, so that makes it wholesome. And pancakes are only good fresh, so I'm morally obligated to eat the whole stack, right? Besides, I deserve some pampering, and nobody else is going to do it for me, so I have to take care of myself. Sounds good to me. Why does that woman have to be so infuriating anyway? Not fair. She's all sexy and confident and walking around like she's queen about cats just because she's a cop. I wonder which woman she's talking about. And she thought I would marry a man, and she thought it was funny that I could still read fantasy books. Ugh. I shove another sweet syrupy bite into my mouth. You can't chew pancakes angrily. They're too soft. That's the point. I feel betrayed. I feel like I spent the last 2 days driving around with an actress, just pretending to be someone I used to know. How could she understand me so little? We were supposed to be in love. We were supposed to be soulmates. I know she left me, but at least before that, we were happy. We had some kind of connection. I thought we liked the same things. Was she only pretending to keep my interest? Blech. Did she think that I was just pretending in order to impress her? Was anything real at all? Oh, no. Come on, Diane. Give both of you a little more credit here. changed so much, become this person I would never have predicted. Maybe it makes sense if she thought I would change too. Or maybe we never understood the first thing about each other. We were young and stupid and thought only what we wanted to see. Yeah, that's an entirely possible. Marion Mann. Ha! How would she like that if it happened to her? Lord Almighty, what if she wants that? She is gay, isn't she? I took my fork around in circles, trying to soak up all the maple on my plate. Did she ever say one way or the other? She said no one at work knew about her past. Oh, what does it matter? Whether she still loves women or not, she certainly doesn't love me. Oh. Now, we've had a day in Jackie's head. We know that Jackie still cares about Diane. But Diane's not the one in Jackie's head. So I think we can excuse her for doubting. I finished my breakfast and took my dishes to the sink to rinse off the sticky syrup residue. Naturally, that's when the phone rings. Grab the dish towel and try to dry my hands enough not to have slippery fingers, then go to fetch it. Hey, Diane, aren't you up? Speak of the devil and he'd off appear. I've never heard the second part of that. I usually hear speak of the devil. She sounds much less apologetic than she did when she called me yesterday morning. I suppose I was meant to be expecting her. I'm awake. I was just doing the dishes. Have you heard this morning's news? No, I watched the broadcast last night. It was every bit as sensational and completely fabricated as Jackie had warned me to expect. Those things cultists came to sacrifice their children and all that. Gosh, really? But this is the South. I'm not sure where in the South, but somewhere in the South. Yeah, we had a father call into the station to report that his teenage daughters were carried off by Satanists and forced to dance around the shed while they bring cats inside, which is an obvious flight of fancy. There weren't any dances or any Satanists, and nothing was sacrificed at that site, not even a marshmallow. Well, there could have been marshmallows, something like that wouldn't have been very crispy out of 2 ashes. But there definitely weren't any skeletons. It wasn't like that time with the duck. Got worse since this morning, though. The situation has escalated faster than anticipated. What happened? Our bird set fire to the Lucky Penny last night. Oh my word! Mrs. Wilcox alright? Of course she thinks of Mrs. Wilcox. That's who Diane is. She's fine. She wasn't there. No one was hurt. The place is a real mess, though. A total write-off. The owner is pretty bent out of shape about it. Duh. I'd be upset, too, if my livelihood burned down. Especially after she asked the department to provide her with a night watch and we didn't. Certainly not my fault. I had nothing to do with that decision, but I feel guilty anyway. I suppose all we can do now is work to bring that criminal to justice. Right. There's a team at the site now. I'll be by to pick you up shortly. The line disconnects. Yes, ma'am. I sigh and hang up the phone. I better put the dishes up to dry and get ready to go. When Jackie arrives, she sits there in her car, engine running, arm draped over the wheel, and waits for me. I guess she's in a hurry. Well, it's not like it's a social call. This is a crime, and it's getting out of hand. I'm to the passenger seat, clenching my notebook. Hi. She doesn't look at me, just releases the parking brake. We called it into their homes first thing in the morning. Both the Mitchell parents and Mrs. Cruz swear the boys were home last night. There's not enough evidence yet to arrest them. Arrest those boys? Why? They obviously didn't do it. Now she looks at me for a moment. A swift sideways step that is not complimentary. Don't tell me you believe little Eddie Haskell yesterday. Those boys are no angels. I know what a suck-up is. I've seen plenty of those in classrooms. Oh, I am sure. Some people may have thought that about me, but I was never a suck-up. But those boys were obviously afraid that they were going to be in trouble. I see plenty of that in classrooms, too. They were scared. Why would two scared kids sneak out and do their biggest crime ever, right after being visited by the cops, when they knew you'd be watching them? Well, it wouldn't be very smart, but criminals tend to be pretty dumb. People who think about consequences don't do crimes. Yeah, what about you when you were young? When we were together, she liked to play the mysterious bad girl. Many times she felt like she'd been in trouble with the law, but but she said I wouldn't want to know the details. She said it, so I believed it, and I didn't ask. But that was then. I'm not that naive anymore. Well, that proves my point, doesn't it? I didn't care about consequences then. What did you do? Blink. You don't know? Eyes on the road, officer. Sorry. Your throat moved as she said. Is she going to answer? So it was mostly disorderly conduct and underage consumption. Technically B&E, breaking and entering. Only for trespass and minor vandalism, not burglary. And I played bait once or twice. I went into a shop wearing leather and spikes. Security watched me, and not anyone else. You shoplifted? My friends did. I was just a distraction. It was stupid. They didn't even take anything valuable. They did it for kicks. And I did, to stay cool with them. She makes a face. Some fights that would have been better if anyone had been charged, but none of us would ever have squealed. You beat people up. Got some bruises. I gave as good as I got. No one got seriously hurt. That's all. Why did you tell me this when we were dating? Why did you make it a mystery? And after that, you became a cop? With an community-oriented focus, it can be a benefit to have some officers who understand how kids go wrong. I think in the previous day, Jack could kind of indicate that she kept this from Diane because she didn't want Diane to know how much of a screw-up she was. She tried to be the perfect girlfriend for Diane, and look what happened. She didn't seem very understanding with Eduardo and Alex. I'm being unfair. I'm still angry with her, and I'm pressuring her about things that don't matter. We have a mystery to solve, after all. So when I did my homework last night, I started with the comics. I couldn't find any occult symbols hidden in the art. It was a decent story, though. The heroine is a mutant girl with heat powers who's afraid that she's losing control and starting fires by accident. But it's actually her evil mentor manipulating her in order to keep her obedient. Eventually, she learns to stand up for herself and uses her powers to fight for her freedom, embracing the fire instead of fearing it. I had hoped that the mentor's mysterious Hellfire Club might turn out to involve devil worship, but apparently it was just rich people partying and trying to get richer. Well, we both knew the comic was a long shot. The good news is, I found a match for that big grid symbol on the floor of the burned-out shed. It's a Zev, a sigil used in voodoo to summon a Loa spirit. The rituals are drawn on floors with powder, like we saw, to act as a beacon for the astral plane. I put to the picture in my notebook. This is a symbol of Oguin, a god of warriors. He's considered to have very strong masculine energy. He's also the god of rum. Remember that rum bottle they found? And he's a god of fire. Fire. I think that set up in the shed was some kind of invocation. Voodoo, huh? How does that connect with the astrology handbook at the store and the yoga symbols from the rose stuff? Well, it doesn't exactly, but it does suggest that there is a pattern and that these symbols are being chosen deliberately. Whoever put the set together had a purpose in mind. It wasn't just picking symbols that look cool. It was an attempt at a ritual. Not a real voodooist, not a real Buddhist, but someone with a passing interest in many different traditions. I think I was wrong before and guessed this is a teenage punk fooling around. I think this is a new age pagan who believes in whatever they're doing. Not comforting if they believe and burning down the city. I can't think of anything more to say to them. I was excited about my findings last night, but I didn't expect to wake up and find that so much damage had been done. I leaned my cheek against my seatbelt and watched the streets go by. Yeah, I do that sometimes, but usually the seatbelt is too high up. I wear a shoulder pad thing because the seatbelt is usually right against my neck. Lucky Penny building is still in one piece, more or less, but it's really too damaged for the shop to reopen without a major refurbishment. This time there are hazard sites around the area, but the hazard is fairly obvious even without the warning. Yeah. One of the letters is falling off the store's main display. I don't see it on the ground. I wonder if someone took it away for safekeeping. The nearby store is almost too badly damaged. Jackie said no one was hurt. Could have been worse. Could have been during the day. But these fires have all been set at night. We get out of the car and cautiously approach. A familiar face is standing guard over the location. Good morning, Officer Romano. Good morning, ma'am. Your case again? That's right. Is Mrs. Wilcox here? The owner? Nah, she left a while ago. The woman was hopping mad, saying we should have stationed a round-the-clock patrol like we don't have better things to do. Well, if there had been a police patrol, then they could have caught the arsonist and stopped all this. Who's been here so far? Most of the fire department. Between the fire and the hoses and them stomping around, there wasn't much left for forensics SAG. After it was out, the fire team did their assessment and took pictures to try and determine the point of ignition. We need to look for specific details that would have interested the firemen. Can we go in? But they said what's left of the structure is generally stable, so it should stay up as long as you don't go shoving anything. Don't worry about fingerprints. This is a public space. Anything not ruined is still worthless for evidence. Once you find a gas can the fire brigade missed, it doesn't matter. It must be difficult to get good evidence for crimes that take place in stores where anyone can handle the merchandise. Y'all be careful though. There's a bunch of broken glass in there. Might be some nails too, so watch your step. Especially you, ma'am. Especially me. Do I look accident prone? She's saying I'm not as competent as Jackie? You're very feminine appearing, Diane. I smile and nod and thank him for his courtesy. We step a little closer. Do you need a hand? No, I shouldn't be mad. I probably do need help, and at least she asked. I guess you were right. If I'm going to do jobs like this, I have to buy some boots. Her eyes gleam as she smiles. I'm hopeless, and I can't help smiling back. Probably be alright if you're careful. Some motions are enough once you come down on a shark sitting straight up. If you feel any sharp pain, if anything scratches you, let me know. It's worth the hospital trip to be safe. One bill from the ER could wipe out everything this job pays. She sees my worry and offers me her arm. Hold on to me if you need support. Okay, thanks. Grip her arm through the jacket, careful not to squeeze too hard, and proceed into the dark. Crunch, crunch. We're only a few feet from a bright, sunshiny day, but everything feels so wrong. There's a crawling, creeping sensation across my shoulders. This must be what claustrophobia is like. It reeks of smoke, but not the wholesome scent of wood smoke at summer barbecues. The air leaves a metallic taste in my throat. I hope Officer Romano didn't forget to warn us about poisonous gases. He said the fire department gave the all clear, didn't he? Jackie pulls out a flashlight and sweeps it around the debris. What a mess. The light lingers on a distorted human shape. It was a dressmaker's dummy once, or a mannequin with no arms. I'm sure once it displayed some slightly fitting clothing for sale. Now the suit and the shadows make it look monstrous. That would be creepy. The shadow alone would freak me out. Try not to touch anything. The residue might be mildly toxic. I can't really avoid touching anything. I can't avoid touching her, not and keep my footing. Truthfully, I'm glad it's Jackie here with me and not some strange man. It would be inappropriate to hold on to anyone else like this. They might feel invited to take liberties. Do you see anything you recognize? So yeah, let's just enjoy that picture for a moment. This is a beautiful couple. We've been here before, after all. If we look at what's changed, it might give us clues about what happened. I draw my attention away from Jack and try to focus on what remains of the story and its content. Not everything has turned away. I should be able to find some points for comparison. What did I look at last time? Okay, so we're back to basically point and click. Everything that was in or under the window is a lost song. The jewelry that was on display here is missing completely. It's possible that it was put away for the night when the shop closed. Otherwise, I don't know if it was destroyed in the place, bounced pieces underfoot, or stolen. Excuse me. I had soda with blood, so I guess it came back up. The toy baskets are nothing but ashes then. There's nothing here for me to find. I don't work very often, so it's weird. The golden wire pyramids gleam among the other wreckage. Except for those unlucky enough to be crushed by falling debris, they seem to have weathered the fire fairly well. The little paper labels tell you which stone represents which blessing are all gone. Of course, what if one of them was a charm for fire resistance? No, that's just silly. The magazines are burned. I can still make out the shapes of pages and binding, but the content is gone. Everything inside those yellow covers is now solid black. Yeah. They taught us at school that glossy paper had a different chemical composition, more clay or something, which means that leaves more ash behind. Newsprint will flake away and vanish into smoke. What difference does it make? It may have left more traces of passing. It's still gone. Nope. The filing cabinets don't look too badly damaged. They're scorched, but they might still be usable. Of course, if the drawers are closed, I can't see the contents. As Jackie said, I shouldn't touch anything with my bare hands. You're wearing gloves? Can you get any of these drawers open? Jackie touched on one of the handles. Not budging. The metal might have worked. Yeah, that's possible. Is it important? I could get a crowbar. No, it doesn't matter. I was wondering what happened to the things that were inside the cabinets. The trading cards, remember? Most likely they burned. It would have gotten pretty hot inside a metal cabinet. That's true. All those cards and binders. I don't even know what they were worth. The bookshelf is a disaster that hurts to look at. Everything's gone, destroyed, and there's no way to bring it back. I hate the whole concept of books being burned. But when it's not senses trying to ban words, it's still knowledge and ideas being lost. Yes! It gets it! That's why it's so, the whole book putting thing back in the 30s, not 40s, 30s in Germany, that bugs me, along with everything else that they did. But book burning, really? You'll never know how much the progress of humanity was set back when the Library of Alexandria burned. Oh yeah. I wish I bought that alchemy book last time I was here, even though I didn't need it. I don't even want to imagine something like this happening to my books at home. The jewelry in the center case was all jumbled up. Some items were made of wood or plastic. Those have burned away or melted and fused with each other. Stone beads rolled loose when poked, and now that the string which held them is gone. The green starburst amulet appears to have survived. But I don't see the rings, even the solid metal ones that should be intact. Of course, they're small. They could be lost in all this junk. I realize I'm touching things I shouldn't. I quickly wipe my fingers on my shirt. Okay, so we found 6 of the 7. What's this down here? The floor is littered with debris, most of which is unrecognizable. Only a few familiar colors catch my eye. The blue glass knees-out charms have fallen to the ground, either shattered or melted. I suppose there weren't such good luck after all. The terracotta flower pots are broken too. I can't tell if they were kicked and smashed or only cracked by the heat of the fire. They all look more or less alike now that any decorative paint has burned away. Shards of glass and pottery don't tell me anything else. I think that's all I can get from this scene right now. I don't know what I should be looking for. Jackie shoots her flashlight over the walls and floors, but it doesn't do any good. There's too much damage. If there was such a storm here, they've burned or been covered up by garbage. If we could get the floor clear, we might be able to see the burn patterns. Don't you dare touch that junk with your bare hands. You want a tetanus shot? Burn patterns are something for the fire experts anyway. I know, but I feel like a failure. I can't find any new clues. The fire was pretty severe. Any traces might have been destroyed. That's not your fault. I brought you on board to interpret the wackadoo things we do find, not pull clues out of thin air. I can't believe you just said wackadoo. It made you laugh. Yeah? Is it wrong to take comfort from the enemy? Let's get out of here before anything collapses. We head back out onto the street. All right, ladies? More or less. Look, were there any witnesses to what went down last night? I haven't turned up any so far. We're feeling for information in the area. All right, keep up the good work. She drives back to the car. With the news reporting this, any witnesses will probably call into the station, not show up here. Romano will keep an eye out for anyone taking too much of an interest, especially teenagers. Are you still blaming any teenagers, especially thrill seekers and trophy hunters who flock to the side of a crime scene? It's a common problem. Oh. Hey, did you ever? We should get back to the station and find out if there have been any updates from new lab reports. Fine, don't answer me. We climb into the car and pull the doors closed. Jackie sits there for a moment, her fingertips resting on the bottom of the wheel. She paused. I went to see the site of a shooting range, but only to look from a distance. I didn't get in there or take anything. Oh. I wasn't really expecting an answer, especially not anything more detailed than a yes or no. I don't think I ever did anything like that. Well, no, he wouldn't. He takes a deep breath and straightens up and starts the car. There's a chance that we may be taken off this case. What? With this level of escalation, even though no one's been hurt yet, there's a clear risk to life. It's not just a cute little mystery anymore. And I'm only invited to the cute mysteries, of course. So I hope I don't sound like I'm crushing you. We need to come up with some results quickly in order to prove to the captains that you're a valuable resource. Oh, wait. He wants to keep Diane on the case. Wait, you think I'm valuable? Of course you are. You know so many things I don't. I wouldn't have any idea what to do without you. In the case, I mean. Oh, there's still feelings there. We never figured out that Beve thing. Beve. Right. You get the house now. You know, you were always a branch of us. Back in college, you never saw how hard it was for me to keep up with you. I'm the one who makes stupid mistakes. Oh, Jackie. Like, cheating on me? Yeah, like that. Reaches over to the radio knob and switches it on. I look away. Maybe it was rude of me to bring it up, but no, it wasn't rude. It happened, and I don't want to pretend that it didn't. The time when Jackie tore apart my world. Oh. We were living together in total privacy. We could be together all the time. It should have been perfect. And yet, we were together less and less. Jackie stopped wanting to go out much, at least not with me. She went out by herself all the time. We didn't have the same class schedule. It was more than that. She was gone so often, I felt like she was avoiding me. And she'd never say where she'd been. The story all kinds of runs together in my head. Like, I remember what was revealed when. I think it was mentioned in the previous day that Jackie started drinking to help her cope. Not that I asked either, not very much. I didn't want her to feel pressured or controlled. I wanted to be the safe place for her to come back to, whatever happened. I tried to tell her once that if she had problems, I'd always support her, no matter what. All she had to do was ask. But she said nothing was wrong, that I shouldn't worry, that she'd take care of me, that she would make it right. Yeah, that's definitely Jackie trying to be a perfect girlfriend. That's not the point of being with someone. They help you. You help each other. Sometimes it was after midnight before she finally stumbled home, smelling of beer and cigarettes. I didn't like either of those things, but I could live with them if I had to live with her. Yeah, I heard that she might be getting into harder drugs, things I wouldn't even know from baby though. I was afraid that something bad might happen and I wouldn't be able to save her. Then one night, she never came home. I was panicked. I was frantic. I thought maybe she'd been in an accident. I called the hospital, but there were no matching victims. I called the campus police, But they said it wasn't their job to keep track of students. No, it wouldn't be. I even called the real police and they told me you can't report an adult missing that quickly. And it was normal for college girls to stay over with their boyfriends, so what was I getting all worked up over? I wasn't out of my mind enough to tell them why I knew they were wrong. All I could do was pace and worry and stuff myself with sugar. Finally, the door opened and Jackie started in, still wearing the same clothes she had been the night before. She took one look at me, and her face turned from green to gray. I was all over her. I didn't care how bad she smelled. Where have you been? Are you okay? I was so worried. But she stopped me. I need to tell you something, she said. I thought maybe she crashed a car or been in a fight. I would have forgiven anything. But she looked at me, and all she said was, "It's over." I was shocked. I begged her to explain. What had I done wrong? How could I fix it? Stupid, wasn't I? Thinking that I could fix anything? But I was desperate. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't see what was right in front of me. But even then, I knew that I was teetering on the edge of the end. You didn't do anything, she said. I did. And that's when I couldn't lie to myself anymore. For pulling away for months, a lack of interaction, all those late nights, the only reason I missed it was that I didn't want to see it. Oh, baby. Where were you last night? I finally asked. With Carol, she said. I didn't even know who Carol was. I couldn't think. I couldn't talk. It was like I'd been closed up, trapped in a world without sound or color. I couldn't function. I just went numb. I stood there, frozen, with the heart torn out of me, and she walked away. We didn't fight. We never fought. She just walked away. Away from me, away from everything. So that explains some of the awkwardness going on here. We returned to the police department and seek up Captain Williams. Hello, ladies. Got a few new reports for you. Witnesses to the Lucky Penny fire? We're not that lucky. Neither was the store, huh? I give him the smile he's looking for. I can't trust another part required professional manners. No, the fingerprint team got a good clear lift off that rum bottle from the shed. Nice. Haven't found any matches running to the usual suspect. No match on that kid with the graffiti record who stole the report either. Sounds right, and Eduardo isn't the arsonist. Thank goodness. But if you come up with any other targets, we've got something to compare to now. We also got a preliminary analysis of that black powder on the shed floor. So far, it looks like it's just iron fillings. Iron! Everyone looks to me. Ogun, the god I told you about, he's also the god of iron. That fits. He's the god of war and rum and fire and iron. They tend to double up a lot. And blacksmiths and soldiers. I told you, he's very masculine. So everything at the scene matches. Does that mean you have a lead? Not a lead to an individual person at the moment, but I'm seeing some consistent patterns emerging. I also sent a team over to talk to the Spears girls, the ones telling the story about being kidnapped. Oh yeah? It's pretty strange. They claim they were dragged out into the woods by cultists who whipped them to make them dance. Satanists with whips, burning cabs, just the sort of thing a morbid teenager might imagine. It's not real. They got hit by something, all right. We took pictures of the injuries. Offers Jackie a folder. Still, the story's obviously a lie. Probably some kind of teenage hijinks gone wrong. Kinsey told me once there was this fad at school to kick balls at each other as hard as possible and see who flinched. Could be something like that. Never know with kids, huh? Just left the folder open. Wait, Marion and Spears? Those names are familiar. Those are the girls Alice Mitchell mentioned, aren't they? The ones whose books got burned? What's this? Book burning, disproving parents. It didn't seem relevant. It was just ordinary pop culture books. Nothing to do with witchcraft that we knew of. But maybe it was more than that. Yeah, sounds like we need to talk to these girls. Turn some pages. Don't suppose anyone got their fingerprints? We were treating them as witnesses, not suspects. You'll need more to go on if you want to change that. That's the page Jackie's looking at. It was the father who called in the initial report late last night, but they're at the mother's house now and going divorced. Which could be a motivation for troubled girls to act out. Or any troubled kids, honestly. such as Jackie was. So you want this address here. Thanks, Captain. We'll get right on it. Let me get a drink of water first. I can sense this is going to be a long day. We climb back into Jackie's car and reach for the map. Wait, just a second. What is it? Before we rush out, I wanted to pick your brains a little about where you think this is all going. I don't want to be so busy following random clues that we miss an obvious direction of investigation. But I don't know. We don't have enough evidence. Of course you don't know, but you're my profiler. What makes sense to you right now? You're a profiler, am I? Well, she did say I was supposed to be the smart one. Ideas are more my thing than hers. Do I have an idea? Think back over the things I've examined. The dark skeleton campfire with the chakra symbols, the blood-faced hand on the shop window topped with alchemy symbols, the burning shed with the invocation to Ogun, the wreck of the lucky penny. I think our culprit is... we actually get to pick something here. Honestly, I'm not sure. But this definitely seems more like kids acting on something. It was actually like a rebellious young person striking back against the world. An adult pagan would probably have their own working space at home. They wouldn't need to go setting fires in the woods and drawing attention to themselves. But it makes sense for someone who still lives with their parents and has to keep their interests and beliefs hidden. Maybe a young adult to have more freedom of movement, but not someone with a house and a job. I think our culprit feels powerless, and these crimes make them feel stronger. The culprit is probably... honestly, I don't think there's anything one way or another to clearly indicate if it's a man or woman. So, roll that dice. I have a D4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, male. Destructive crimes like this are much more consistent, commonly carried out by males, right? Yeah, arson particularly tends to be very male. Masculine energy, that's what we saw as the invocation to a gloom, too. Obviously, there are women who are into camping and so on, but it's more common with men. The motivation behind the fires. Okay, got a D6 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3. Next and power. Creating fire, watching things burn, these give the criminal a sense of power and control, being able to make a mark on the world. That could also be related to sexual potency with the invocation of Ogun. Maybe someone wants to feel more like a man. But what will it take for them to be satisfied? Not much with some men. Sorry. Most likely that we're looking for now obviously I have played this so I know what's going on, but I am not going to say anything to indicate which of these may be correct or closest to the correct answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, a single culprit. There's one mind behind this. The pattern is confusing only because we don't share that person's mindset. When we put all the pieces together, the mastermind will become clear. I tug at my sleeve. All of this is only theory, so it's the truth that matters, not what we guess might have happened. We can't reach conclusions unless we know what actually happened. Yeah, Dan stretches for a moment. There's nothing else for me to say about the case, and outside the case, there's nothing left to say. So, where are we going? I pick up the map. Now, what's funny for me about these twin girls and their names is I used to read the Babysitter's Club. And there was a character named Mary Ann. Can't remember what the last name was, but I think it was Spear or Spears. I can look it up super quick. Because I have a computer, baby. Babysitter's Club. BSC. Yep. This is Thomas by Kishi 6 ago. Marianne Spire. So, very similar name. So, that kind of caught my attention. Don't know why I said it like that. We pull up outside the Spears house. Well, the mother's house. It's supposed to focus the Spears house, really. I think that was divorce's family. Divorce must be very difficult for everyone, especially the children. I will admit that I'm very lucky. I've never had to experience that as a child. I know there were some tough times when we were younger, and my parents were determined to make it work. The home itself looks tidy and well kept, at least from the front. Marigolds bloom in the flower beds with stubborn cheerfulness, smiling up at the sun. Jackie doesn't waste her time admiring the flowers. She marches up and knocks on the door. The woman who answers does not look entirely happy to see us. Good morning, ma'am. Are you reporters? No, ma'am. We're with the police department. Look at her credentials. I'm Jackie Morales and this is Diane Carter. Are you Mrs. Elise Spears? For the moment. She puts the rings around her finger. We'd like to speak with Anne and Mary. I'm not making it my girl strip for another bunch of cops. I don't care if you're a woman. You've got all you need for your kicks. Now leave us alone. Ma'am, we don't need them to take off their clothes off. We're not that kind of specialist. Please, this is a very important case. There may be lives at stake. We have to stop whoever's responsible for this. You don't look like a cop. I'm not. I'm a substitute teacher. I don't normally think of teacher as my identity. I am a writer. Teaching is a supplement. However, considering the issue that this family apparently has with fantasy novels, I really don't want to bring up my true calling. Mrs. Spears looks me up and down. You here to make them feel more comfortable? Well, I'd like to hope so. If something had happened to those girls, I'd certainly like to make them feel comfortable enough to trust me. If they're the perpetrators, well, I still hope they'll trust me enough to sort all this out before it's too late. All right, I'll let you in. Thank you very much, ma'am. She almost sounded like Elvis for a moment there, but I can't rest the smile. I don't want to offend this woman now. Not when you finally got her to cooperate. Mrs. Spears guides us in and knocks on the girls' bedroom door, then ushers us inside. It's a shockingly tidy room for two teenage girls. The whole house, or what we thought of it, looks freshly clean, so I'm not surprised, for it's free of dust. But there's something off about it. The room doesn't feel simply clean, it feels empty. Even a college dorm room, when the occupants have just moved in, has more personality. Especially when the occupants have just moved in and haven't figured out where to put their suitcases yet. The girls are seated together on the bottom bunk bed, close enough to whisper in each other's ears. At the side of their mother, they rise to their feet. Even genetically identical twins have differences when you know them well. Stars, mold, carriage, things they've developed for themselves. But the strangers just alike, they might as well be dogs rather than mold. I didn't look at the file folder, so I don't know their details. I expected them to be the same age as Eduardo and Uggs. But those straight-cut bangs feel more common on younger girls. Yeah, that was a thing with Marianne in the Babysitter's Club. Up through middle school, her dad made her wear her hair in braids. Very, I wouldn't say babyish, but definitely not the kind of hairstyle that a teenage girl would wear. Neither girl wears makeup or jewelry, and baggy t-shirts hide any sign of body development. Their injuries might make their clothing uncomfortable at the moment if they've been beaten. I don't see any obvious bruises or rubs, or any sign of medical treatment beyond one tiny band-aid on one girl's arm, so it must be covered by the shirts. Girls, these ladies want to talk to you about what happened the other night. Remember that you don't have to say anything that you don't want to, and you can call me at any point if you need me. Be good now. Did you mean that for us or them? Good question. After her defensive reaction when I first arrived, I'm surprised Mrs. Fierce was leaving us alone with the girls. I would have thought she'd stay to supervise, because that would make it more difficult for us to get answers. Yeah, no. That is creepy. I'm reminded of the girls from The Shining at the hotel. Come play with us! Except those girls were younger. She's trusting us not to follow the girls into foolish confessions, and sometimes, in some police forces, that would be a terrible mistake. I'm sure Jackie wants to find the truth, not an easy false answer, but she can also get fixated on wrong ideas. It's my responsibility to protect these children, even from her. Mrs. Fierce closes the door. It's up to us now. Good morning. Which of you is... I'm Anne. She's Mary. Are you really police? I thought they said they were done this morning. Are you the FBI? Do you get the black cars with the tinted windows? No, we're not feds. The team you spoke to earlier was a general evidence squad. We're investigators on a particular case. That explanation doesn't appear to have satisfied them. The girls exchange glances and say nothing. I'm a special expert in magical folklore and cultural practices. I studied that in college. Really? You can get a degree in that? That would be cool. Anne twitches her nose, and Mary stops talking. I don't believe in psychic powers, but I do believe that twins can come to understand each other well enough that they can communicate without speaking. They keep up a united front that can make questioning them tricky. But questioning people isn't really what I'm good at. I'm more of a listener. I sit back and look at Jackie. Why don't you tell us about what happened the night before last? They look at each other. We snuck out of the house to meet up with some friends, which was very naughty of us. And then when was this? It was after curfew, which is why it's bad. Was it after midnight? No. After curfew, but before midnight. It was around 11. Alright, you went to meet your friends. Did you take your dad's car? That's right, they were staying with their father the night all this happened. No, we were on foot. You were going to meet them in your neighborhood? Right. And then we got kidnapped. There were a bunch of people wearing black, and they took hold of us by force and put us into the back of their van. So you went to the meeting point at night, and people found you there. Were they your friends? No. They were strangers. How many people were there? More than 5. Not as many as 10. 8, maybe. They were all in the van, and there was some in the black back to hold us still. And they drove us out to the woods, and there were more people there, wearing robes, but we couldn't tell how many because it was dark. And the people in the van took their belts off, and they started hitting us. And they put on robes, too. Then they set the shack on fire, and they made us run around it in circles. Dance around it in circles. Dance around it, and we had to yell, "Hail Satan," or they'd hit us again. And they had this black cat in a cage, and they threw it into the fire. We could hear it screaming. And we cried, but they wouldn't let us stop until after midnight. Then they pushed us back into the van and drove away and dropped us off near Dad's house, so we went home. Did you recognize any of these people? Were they men or women? We couldn't see. It was dark. And they wore hoods. And they didn't talk to us except when they were yelling at us and hitting us, and then they were behind us so we couldn't see them. If you couldn't see any of them, how do you know it wasn't your friends playing a prank on you? What friends? The ones you were meeting. Our friends would never do such awful things. Only a monster would. Right, witches are bad. Even in the dark, I could be sure it wasn't anyone we knew. It was bad people. Well, I could see why the police weren't paying a lot of attention to this story when they first told it. It's not very believable. Did you fall down a lot while you were dancing? Fall down? Well, it was raining that night, in the dark, in the woods, in the mud, and they were hitting us, so we fell down a lot. Your clothes must have been filthy. Yes, but we left our laundry at Dad's, so we don't have them now. Did he catch you coming in? No, we snuck in and didn't tell him anything. was very inappropriate of us. We should have trusted and respected our elders. We didn't say anything until we saw a story on the news. Then we told him what happened to us, and he called the police. He must have been very angry to find out that he snuck off. Yes. He was more worried about what could have happened and glad that we were safe. The only one to protect us. Okay. Is anyone else getting really weirded out by this? And, honestly, even the first time I played this, I didn't believe it at all. Clearly, they were inspired by the news report. That's right. They both nod in unison. I see. And I'm pretty sure Jackie doesn't believe a load of any of it. Well, she believes they were hurt. You can't fake injuries like that. But I don't think she believes that they were out by a fire dancing around. I don't think you're supposed to believe it for more than a few seconds. Why don't you think about that story a bit and consider how much it doesn't add up? Huh? Jackie looks at me with a raised eyebrow. Am I supposed to play good cop now? I don't know anything about interrogations. What does she expect me to do? They were put to talk to us at all. I could tell them stories to help them relax and open up a little. But these two are talking to us. They're just not telling us the truth. Yeah. See, we're not supposed to believe it at all. Demanding that a child admit a lie really helps. That just makes them dig in their heels. When getting caught means punishment, they'll deny it as long as they can, long past the point of reason. It's better to confront them with the truth and proceed from there. But when small children lie, the truth is usually easy to spot. These girls aren't small children, and I have no idea what they're thinking. Is this a story made up for attention, or to protect themselves, or someone else? If what they want is attention, they'll say anything they think will keep our interest. They might even pretend to be reluctant in order to make us pry the story out of them. But it won't get us any closer to the truth. If they're lying in order to protect someone, well, who and why? And how is protecting someone connected to our case? Did these girls set the fire, or know the people who did? Saying just why they're leaving, it could either be wasting our time completely, or be the most crucial clue we will ever find. I'm not a detective. I'm supposed to be looking at pictures for a mystic sign. But is there anything I could see in this room that might give me some clues about the twins and their motivation? Dun dun dun. Okay, well, first thing that jumped out at me was the cross, which I thought that was something. Well, next obvious thing is the windows. I don't know about the rest of you, but first thing my family does is make sure that we have some sort of curtains on the windows. It's very weird to see windows without curtains at all. I look around the room and finally recognize one of the reasons why it feels wrong. What happened to the curtains on your windows? We never needed curtains. We never had curtains, but the sunlight would come right in. That helps make sure we get out of bed in the morning. But at night, with your lights are on, the whole world can see into your room. That's more reason to turn off the lights and go to bed. But your privacy, aren't you worried someone will see you changing clothes? We get changed in the bathroom after brushing our teeth. I suppose that would work. It's just a bit different, like they are. Mom says we could pick up curtains now, so we're going to have them later. I want them to be blue, like, you didn't ask that. Sorry. You don't need to be sorry. I'm here to talk to you. You can say whatever you're thinking. Or not. Okay, well, what about what's on the dresser? The walls of this bedroom are plain and white. No colorful paint. Almost no decoration. Many girls their age would be covering their walls with pull-out posters from 17 or Tiger Beat. I remember that. Buying magazines and getting the posters out. At least it seems that way in the movies. I never did anything like that until I moved out from under my parents' roof. Decorations were their decision, not mine. I mean, we would collect them, but we wouldn't necessarily put them up on the walls. Still don't have much on the walls, but that's just because I don't want to. I have other stuff. I remember when Jack and I lived together, we argued about whether or not it would be wrong to have a picture of a pretty girl on the wall of our... But that's not important right now. There are no teen heartthrobs smiling at these girls. The only poster on the wall is one I recognize as the giveaway from Tiger State University between the women's volleyball team and their blue uniforms. I don't think that team's ever been national champions. It must have some personal meaning for the Smiths. Maybe they know someone on the team. Maybe it's aspirational. Are you two planning to go to state when you graduate? Yeah, a friend of ours goes there. And it's local, so we can still see our mom. She doesn't mention seeing her father. I wonder why. Would you want to live at home while attending classes? It saves a lot of money, but you'll miss out on the experiences if you're not part of the campus life. Girls exchange confused expressions. We haven't decided. Well, you don't need to have everything decided yet. You could even do a little of both if you wanted. Both? You don't have to live in the same arrangement every year. You could do a year in the dorms and then a year at home. Or what if you could live in the dorms and one at home and you could trade places? Just one of us? I suppose they've always shared a bedroom, so being apart is hard to imagine. I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I have a twin sister. Not identical. People don't believe us when we say we're twins. That's how little we look like each other. We're definitely fraternal. But we've never had that close a bond like they depict twins having. And I don't think it's necessarily because we're fraternal. It's just we have very different personalities and preferences even when we were younger. And when, for most of like half of elementary school, we were in the same class. Another half, we were in different classes. Just because I was too clingy and my sister got tired of it. And then middle school, we started having different classes, and we just really blossomed. So I wouldn't say it's a twin thing. Maybe it's identical twin thing. Well, it would be up to the two of you to decide. They're not used to making decisions, are they? You know, it seems like their parents make all the decisions for them. Okay, well, what about this room on the wall? That's weird. I mean, I've seen them as decorations, but not something like that. The room with so little decoration, one unusual item does stand out. Is that a room? They look at me like they're afraid I'm losing my marbles. I mean, do you use it to clean your room with? From their expressions, that question sounded every bit as foolish. It's an odd thing, though. Too large to be a whisk broom, too short for an ordinary one. Why would they keep a broom hanging on the wall? It's very nice. You guys on vacation. Yeah, it was from a handcraft shop in the Ozarks. I think that's somewhere in the Appalachians. I've heard of it before. Northern Arkansas, southern Missouri. Okay. Yeah, and a tiny bit in Kansas and a little bit in Oklahoma. So, northern Arkansas and upper southern Missouri. Oh, I've never been there. They should go east to the Appalachians for a mountain trip. Okay, so if you go east to the Appalachians, that means you're further west. But from the sound of it, it sounds like maybe they're in Arkansas. I can picture the kind of store she's talking about, though, with honey straws and stick candy and hand-thrown pottery. Straw brooms were invented in America. There's a long tradition of how they're made. They represent diligence and a virtuous lifestyle. So, given the very strong, they sound almost like they're being raised in a very Puritan manner. So that this makes perfect sense as to why they have that broom. They're definitely not magical. Okay. This desk. The wooden lectern desk stands along the wall, identical but separate. Each has enough room for one book, one chair, and one small candle perched along the narrow flat plank. Those do not look comfortable. The slanted wooden surface is hinged at the top, so it can be lifted to reveal storage underneath. Perhaps the twins keep more personal items there, or at least pens and pencils. Yeah, those look like the desks that kids would use in the one-room schoolhouse type deal. So, the whole setup looks less comfortable than my own desk at home. Do you do your homework here on these desks? Sometimes. Mostly we use the big table in the kitchen as long as we can be done before dinner. These are for reading. Oh, you like to read? Yes. Reading is fundamental to education. Is this true? So, I'm getting distinct impressions of the differences between these girls. They're clearly still quite close, but Mary certainly seems to be more open than Anne. Anne seems a bit more cagey than Mary. Well, that's true, but it's also fun. Should I tell them I'm a writer? No, it's too much of a sidetrack. Besides, I don't want to talk about my books in front of Jackie. I work as a substitute teacher sometimes. Are you a good student? Anne gets better grades. You would do just as well if you paid more attention. Yeah, my twin got better grades than I did, but we did, but for the most part, I mean, we both did pretty decent in school. It's just, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but it turns out I have ADHD, which, focusing and concentrating, more challenging for me, and I usually ended up doing big assignments at the last minute. Still managed to get decent grades, obviously, but there's a reason that my twin was in the top 5% of our graduating class, and I was in the top 10%. So I was basically in the top 10 to 6%, and she was in the top 5 to 1%. Right, I know. She daydreams too much. Well, that doesn't help either. They seem very diligent and organized. Very too from the look of their room. So neither of you are troublemakers at school? Of course not. Okay, well, let's come over here. Upstairs the room is, it does at least contain a sizable bookcase. Not a cheap one either, but a solid piece of furniture with glass doors. Yeah, most of the bookcases we have in my house are kind of flimsy. We have a metal one in the family room that has some of my dad's stuff, but most of the rest of our bookcases are wood or particle board. However, once I look past the reflections on the glass, I notice that the shelves are mostly empty. It's a nice bookcase, but where are the books? Exactly. If the rumors we heard yesterday are correct, there is a story behind that, but we don't know that for certain. You don't have very many books on your shelf. Where did they go? She thought and looked at her sister. Dad took away our books. Oh, so they're in your room at your father's house? Neither girl volunteers anything. This might be important, but I don't want to press too hard while I'm still gathering evidence. I look back at the shelves. There are two ceramic piggy banks, both the same size and shape, both perfectly white and shiny, with no way to tell them apart. Who's piggy bank to choose? The girls look at each other. They're both ours. They're both one of ours. Is that where you keep your allowances? We don't get allowances. We get money on our birthdays. Many dollars as we are old. And that goes in the bank. When we graduate, we're allowed to break them open. I'm not good enough at math to work that out in my head, but I don't think that would add up very much. It wouldn't, because I'd be like 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Doubled. My stupid brain, I'm mentally trying to figure that out. So, either way, it's not going to be enough. I am sitting down and actually figuring it out. So basically, if I work this out correctly, it comes out to $171. So, not in that case. Yep, 171. And to 342. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely, it's not a small amount, but that's still pretty, compared to what other kids probably get, there's not much. Well, probably enough for some nice new clothes and a celebration, but not enough for college or a car or anything important. Exactly. But if that's the only way they get money in their banks, then it really doesn't matter who owns which pig. They're the same age. Half of the total belongs to each of them, no matter which pig it's in. Is that sweet or sad? Okay, well, look at this. A difference. The twins apparently sleep in bunk beds, more common for young children than teenagers, so some cause to stack the beds together in order to get more floor space. Yeah, when I moved into college, the beds were stacked together, and I ended up on the top bunk because my roommate moved in first, so they got to stay in the bottom bunk. Plus, I'm always shorter, so there wasn't as much of a chance for me to bump my head as would have been for her. When we came back after winter break, though, we put my bed on the other side of the room. It was a little high. It was more like I'd have to literally climb to get into bed, but at least I didn't run the risk of bumping my head. They have to be careful not to bang their heads still. Beds themselves look more or less identical except for the stuffed animals. Both beds are neatly made, but one holds a teddy bear and the other a puppy-eared rabbit. Can't guess which bed belongs to which girl. It must be nice to have a sister. You're never alone. My cousin and I used to pretend we were sisters when we had sleepovers. We stay up all night whispering to each other and make up secret code words to confuse our parents. Anne must disbelieving, but Mary giggles. Does it get difficult sometimes, though, not having time apart from each other? We don't need time apart. We share everything. It would probably be easier to get to the bottom of this story if we could talk to just one of them alone. That's not going to happen. Okay, there's 7 clues. We've found 6. There we go. Dresser. The dresser top is mostly bare and tidy, like the rest of the room. There's only one wooden trinket box, which is basically filled with barrettes and hair baubles. I can't see any dividing line down the middle, so I suppose all the decorations are shared equally. Well, they have their hair is the same color and the same length, so there don't seem to need to keep their stuff separate. The only other object on display is a porcelain disc ornament hanging from a metal half-moon stand. The disc is painted with an image of Jesus in robes, protectively cradling a lamb. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I look up at the cross on the walls and turn to the girls. Are you very religious? Yes. No. They look at each other. We're not very religious. We follow Christ and we attend church, but we're not as devout as we should be. We know people who are very religious. We aren't. I'm very religious. I want to become a preacher, except our church doesn't have women preachers. And then I want to be a nun, except they don't have those either. Yeah, women as preachers is a very new thing. My twin actually works at a church. She did work at a church here in California, but then she looked for, she felt the need to look elsewhere, and she ended up finding a job in Idaho. And so she moved up there last year. And she seems very happy. She's a youth pastor, if I remember correctly. I am not very religious, obviously. And I want to be Joan of Arc. You just want to be seen doing good, which isn't the same as actually being good. You know we have sinned. Yeah. Can't see anything else in the room we're talking about, but Jackie is still staring off into space, visibly ignoring us. I suppose I have to keep going, somehow. I look back at the twins, and they look at me. What's going on in their minds? Is it too well behaved for young delinquents? There's a sense of isolation here. I can imagine them being lonely enough to make up all sorts of stories, especially as imaginative readers whose books have been taken away. Two little girls in bunk beds, whispering ideas to each other in the night. But then one twin shifts position, and I'm reminded that there is other evidence beyond the story they've been telling. Do you girls need to sit down? I know you're injured. I don't want to cause you any extra pain. You'll be fine. Are you sure? Push yourself too hard, you'll slow down your healing. You'll be fine in a day or so. We always are. Always? Uh-oh. And now, alas, Jackie raises her head and takes an interest. So just how often are you kidnapped and beaten by satanic cultists? No, that's not what happened. That's not what she said. But it's the truth, isn't it? It never happened. You weren't kidnapped by cultists. There were witches, and they... So how often have you been beaten by witches? There weren't witches. You snuck out at night to meet your friends, people who knew exactly where you were and how to find you. There weren't any strangers in a van. You're wrong. The girls said they snuck out at night in a meeting spot, but it got picked up. It would have to be their friends, or someone their friends said. Who else would stumble across these girls at that exact time and place? But the girls got hurt somehow, and apparently it's not the first time. What are their friends doing to them? Is that who they're protecting? These friends of yours, who are they? What? Who were you meeting that night? Just some people. Boys from school? Sure. Can you tell us their names? I hope it wasn't Eduardo and Alex. Why? Well, if there were cultists kidnapping people from the streets that night, something bad might have happened to your friends too. We need to talk to them. But we can't. You snuck out to meet your friends and parties. That's where you got hurt, wasn't it? We didn't meet any friends. We got whipped because we're witches. Your witches? Who whipped you? And at that, Jackie softens her approach. We're not here to hurt you or punish you. We only want to know what happened and be sure that you're safe. We know that things didn't happen the way you said they did. There were no dancing in the woods. There were no things. There was no campfire. We know because we've been there. None of that happened. It was just a shack that caught fire on a rainy night. But the news said, that's where you got the idea from? The news? That's where you got the idea? From the news? Why don't you tell us what really happened to you? Mary takes her twin's hand. Do you think? I don't know. Jackie speaks slowly and carefully. Girls, did either of you set those fires? No. We weren't there, like you said. Then you're not in trouble. Tell us what happened that night. Why did you sneak out? We didn't. We never snuck out. We've never been outside after curfew. But you confessed to it. To your father, to the police. Dad made us say that we did. Yeah. That's unexpected. Why would a man pressure his own daughters into making a false confession of a crime they had nothing to do with? So, when I first played this, I figured it out before Diane did, but Diane is a bit more sheltered, and I'm sure Jack has figured it out. Was he trying to cover up for something? You were staying at your father's house that night. Was he home at night, all night? Why wouldn't he be? I don't want to frighten them. They think their father is in trouble. They might lie again to protect him. I'm just asking if he stayed out late, or if you heard him leave at some point, or if he was there in the morning. He was there when we woke up, but he wouldn't stay out late. He's very strict about bedtime. When is your bedtime? 9:30. That's a little early for their age, but not out of line for a strict family. He went to bed early and slept the whole night through, never waking up. That means you can't be completely certain that he never left. I guess, but why would he? Why is a good question. Why did he tell you to talk to the police? Because it was our fault for letting the devil in. What? The fire. It was on the news. We saw it on TV when we were having dinner, and they said witches did it. Dad said we needed a reminder of what happened to witches, so he hit us with his belt. Then he cried. And there we go. There's the real cause of their injuries. And we cried. Jackie's face is blank, so I'm sure she finds this revelation upsetting. I suppose I should have guessed this as soon as they mentioned belts. There are far too many parents here who believe in spare the rod and spoil the child. Then he made us call the police and tell them that this was all the fault of Satan's witches, so that we wouldn't forget. It was witches. It had to be. The news said so. Witches are real. So, after taking a shot to his daughters, he could then call the police and force them to report a story about witches. Even for a strict parent who believes in corporal punishment, this isn't normal. Does your father get angry like that a lot? About witches or monsters or things you can't see? It's our fault. We upset him. He didn't know we were witches before. Why did he say that you're witches? Because we are. Because we've been tempted away from God's light and we tempt others. How were you tempted? It was the book. You didn't like you reading? We were always allowed to read, not just our Bibles and our school books and serendipity and childcraft. We got books at every fair. Television is bad for your mind. We had to go over to other people's houses if we wanted to watch movies. We always had books. Then Mom and Dad started to fight a lot, so we stayed in our room and talked about books all the time. And then we wanted more, different kinds of books. Books we knew our parents wouldn't approve of. And one day, Dad found out what we were reading, and he got really mad. He burned your books. How did you know that? I'm a really good guesser. And, well, I've known some other families that had problems when the church pronounced activities as ungodly and size. We got Mary reading Firestarter. It wasn't even ours. We saw the cover and got really upset. The cover's really spooky. It's got these big eyes staring at you out of the white and flames going up over the face because the girl's got psychic powers. It's Millie's favorite book. But when he thought he got upset, then he wanted to look at all of our other books, including all the fantasies Millie loaned us. And he said they were the work of the devil, and that must be how the devil got into our house and ruined everything. So he's blaming that on fights with their mother. I didn't pick up on that before. And so he burned them. Even the books that had nothing to do with witchcraft, because temptation opens the door to sin. She likes romance novels, and the heroes don't wear any shirts. The women wear these dresses that are very low cut, and Dad said that was, porn. So he burned all the books and gave us a whipping and told us we were never allowed to speak to Millie again. Does he take his belt to you a lot? Things have been better since he moved to his own house. The news story made him upset about missing Mom. That's all. Those poor girls. That's about Millie. She's a friend of yours? A relative? A teacher? What's her last name? Millie Canterbury. She was out of school, but she graduated, so we don't see her anymore. And she was mad that we lost her book. Mary sits in place, looking uncomfortable. I probably need to wrap this up soon before the mother comes to rescue the girls from us. You know a boy named Alex Mitchell or Eduardo Cruz? They go to our school, but we don't really know them. They're allowed to be alone with boys. That fits with the very strict upbringing they've had. Do you know of anyone who might actually be interested in witchcraft or paganism? Any rumors at school? Millie was the witchiest person we knew. She had lots of books. Beyond books, anyone who wanted to be a witch in real life. Well, if Millie found a way to be a real witch, she would definitely take it. Jackie sighed. All this and haven't learned anything about our case at all. These girls have problems and they need help, but they don't know anything about the fires. Still, there's something I have to say before we leave. You know that none of this is your fault, right? You didn't do anything wrong. Reading books is an evil. You didn't cause your parents' divorce. You didn't cause these fires. You are not the devil's door. And you don't deserve to be hurt. I wish I could say more, but these are not my children, and as a teacher, I've had to learn how much I am and am not allowed to interfere in other people's families. Yeah, that's probably a difficult lesson to learn sometimes. Take care of each other, okay? They nod. We head outside. Mrs. Spears is only too glad to get us out of her home, I am sure. Are you done this time, or are you going to come back and put them through the ringer all over again, or arrest them? They're not in any trouble, ma'am. We have everything we need. You might want to go easy on the girls for a little while, though. Don't tell me how to be a parent. Mrs. Spears, you should probably know that story about the girls being kidnapped by cultists. It isn't true. Well, of course it's not. There's no such thing as witches. That's just my husband's nonsense. She knew? Then why didn't she say anything? Ma'am, were you aware that your husband was using a bug on those girls? I'm divorcing him, aren't I? Good. I see. She adjusts her jacket. Since the girl's interests have been recorded and filed as battery, would you be interested in filing charges against your husband? No. You understand, we have a legal case pending, don't you? What do you think would happen if I complained? It is the right of a father in this state to discipline his children as he sees fit. Not to the point of abuse. When Marks are left, you tell that to a southern judge who thinks being switched never did him no harm. No, if I complain, I'm the nagging lying bitch trying to steal children away from a strict, loving father. I talked to my lawyer. Raising a fuss makes my chances for custody worse, not better. Accusing him would just make people sympathize with him. Besides, this is better for them. He's got it on the record now that some evil cult hit his daughters. He reported a crime. That means he had to admit that hurting them was a wicked thing to do. Maybe he'll think twice next time. All right, but ma'am, don't hesitate to call if there are problems. You have rights. That appears to be the end of that conversation. Yep. But, yeah, the reason for not pressing charges, I don't know if that'd be true today, but I can certainly see how that would hold up in the past when corporal punishment was more of a thing. My parents never really spanked us. I don't remember being spanked. I remember the threat of it was enough to get us to behave, but we never actually our parents never actually followed through. Never had to. But I know some other parents did actually spank the kids. There's nothing left to do here. I slide back into the passenger seat inside, spin my head back. You okay? She pulls the door shut. It's a mess. Why can't everyone just tell the truth? Because then things would be too easy. There wouldn't be these kinds of situations. It would certainly make police work easier if everyone told the truth up front. Which police should let her husband get away with such a stupid lie? I mean, they're all lies. Father lies, the kids lie for him, the mother lies for them. Everybody lies. Some people have better reasons than others. Even you lie to your parents, to your coworkers, to society. Because I don't tell people I'm a lesbian. When I was a minor and living with my parents, I was too innocent to understand how their beliefs were stifling me. If I had known. We lie because we're afraid, but we shouldn't have to. It would be a better world if we could all try to understand each other. I suppose only God can provide perfect judgment and perfect love. Sorry, I know you're not really comfortable with the church. No, I think I'm pretty comfortable with my choices by now. About religion, anyway. She sits there facing me, but her eyes keep jumping back and forth. She looks at me, she looks at her hands, she makes no move to start the car. I'm fine if that's what you're wondering. I suppose talking to those girls has brought up a few associations from my past. I didn't have a traumatic childhood. I wasn't whipped or paddled. I was sheltered. I feel sorry for Mary and Anne and their mother, and I hope things get better for them. But I don't need comforting. I'm more upset about the prospect of failing on this case. She keeps looking at me. Why does she keep looking at me? I pull my purse up onto my lap just to give myself an excuse to look away, and set it down again, unopened. Fire starter. Funny thing, isn't it, for a title like that to come up while we're investigating someone starting fires? Breathes out and finally looks away. I've read that book. It's not about witches or pagan rituals at all. The girl starts fires with her mind. It's all drugs and psychonics and government conspiracies. I know. I've read it too. I didn't think you would have. I prefer fantasy, but it wasn't a bad book. She prefers fantasy? How does that make sense? I thought she was making fun of me last night for still reading them. I wasn't in the best of moods yesterday, especially not after our argument. Maybe I misinterpreted what she was telling me. Jackie's a regular at the comic shop, isn't she? That checkout girl knew her right away. If she's still in touch with our dreams, why did she think I would... No, none of this matters right now. Well, still a strange coincidence, don't you think? Even if it's not magical, it is about starting fires, and they said it was Millie's favorite book. Maybe Millie's a pyro, like we were talking about before. Said their friend Millie graduated, which must have been months ago at the nearest. Went to college, she could be anywhere now, including Tiger State. Did they say they had a friend there? We had the contact number for the college pagan club. We should call them and ask if they know Millie passively. We could, but it's really going out on a limb. There's no evidence to connect Millie to this case. Even those girls turned out to have no connection. Maybe we should look back at the cruise boy again. He mentioned a girlfriend and a younger sister. We haven't gotten any information on them yet. Except my thigh disgruntled. You checked the fingerprints. Eduardo was the one person you know for certain didn't start the fire. And then, of course, this happened to adjust my skirt. It wasn't very ladylike of me. I have no reason to keep hassling him. He's the only person with a criminal record connected to this case. That's because we haven't found the culprit yet. It's not to fixate on Eduardo just because he's in the system. Well, it's not right to fixate on Eduardo just because he's in the system. I thought the new police were supposed to have moved beyond that. I haven't cuffed him and dragged him off. We know Eduardo didn't set the shack fire by himself. That doesn't mean he wasn't there, just that someone else handled that fire. I think it's unlikely that Eduardo or Alex searched a lucky penny. A friend of theirs, especially the son of a girlfriend that he was shoplifting for, could have slipped their radar. Of course, that's not certain. Could have been something else entirely. But we still can't rule them out. We don't have anything else. So we look harder. Come on, let's go back to your station and call it the Neo-Pagan Circle. If they can't help, then we'll try something else. For campus call, it might be a good idea to avoid using the official one. I've heard they're rolling out the tech equipment for the new caller ID system there. Oh gosh. No caller ID is... I remember when I was little, we had no idea who was calling. The only way we could know was if we actually did have a call. But now, I got phone calls on my phone, I check to see if it's not, usually if it's not a person or a phone number I recognize, I don't answer. Oh, I heard about that on TV. Being able to know who's calling me without having to pick up the phone would mean never being blindsided by my mother again. However, I'd have to buy a display unit to hook it to my phone, and I'll bet they'd bill me monthly for the service, too. Maybe someday when I'm rich and famous enough to have more people trying to call me. But wouldn't it be a good thing to be able to prove with the police? That depends on how nervous you want them to be. If the fire's all over the news screaming about fakeness, they might refuse to answer if they think the police are calling them. Student organizations generally don't have dedicated phone lines. The number I have is likely to be the room phone at the Queen's President. The fire said to ask for Moonrise. Is that a code word? They're using secret codes all the time. They probably would react badly to the police calling them. Alright, let's go find a payphone. And maybe some lunch? You're hungry already? My brain needs a lot of fuel for thinking. With varying class schedules, there's no way to know when this person might be answering their phone. If we call before and after a meal, we can have a better chance of catching them. That's logical. Great, let's get pizza. Are you buying? Do I have to? You said that feeding your specialist was a valid business expense, didn't you? Feeding a specialist. Right. Oops, I just called myself hers. Well, so what? I've got to stop overreacting to every little thing either one of us says. As far as I can tell, she's been trying to be nice to us. She was even trying to be nice last night. I'm the one who keeps getting angry. For good reasons. That's not helpful. Great, then explain. What do you want on your half? She blinks, then inclines her head and follows my lead. Pizza, truly the food of the gods. I'm conveniently for news to the phone booth right outside. I remember when we were in college, some joker used that phone to order delivery right to the parking lot. First attempt at dialing up left us ringing into empty air. Luckily, the pizza parlor isn't too busy inside, so they don't mind our having a table while we digest our food and try again. At the moment, I've left Jackie wasting her quarters on some Kung Fu arcade game while I pop mine into the playing space slot. Okay, I need to quick break. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and that's the better. Okay. Ringing. Hello? Hi. Now that someone's finally answered, I wish for a moment that Jackie was doing this. She makes a better secret agent. May I speak to Moonrise? This is she. That's a name. Who's calling, please? My name is Diane Carter. I was calling about your pagan circle. Are you a reporter? No, no one here is a servant of Satan. The mother goddess represents unconditional love. I hope myself to be in tune with the energy of the universe. I'm not a reporter. I'm not accusing you of anything. Probably as a result of the news reports. I probably should have called them yesterday if we wanted to leave fire worship. They're obviously a little expensive now. I was actually hoping to find someone who I thought might be in your group. Millie Cassidy? Why? Are you a friend of hers? No, Wait, she recognized the name. We're on the right track. How could I win her over? I always feel more comfortable meeting people for the first time in person. When you smile at them and they smile back, there's a connection. Over the phone, I can't tell if they think I'm charming or unbelievably stupid. It's different when you're talking to someone you already know and you can picture them in your mind. I have no idea who this Moonrise is or what she looks like. She could even be Millie herself. I'm a school teacher, not her teacher, but I know some students who are friends of hers. Okay, I'm punching the truth a little, but only a little. Their parents won't allow them to talk to her anymore, but they wanted to know how she was doing, so I was hoping I could speak to her. Well, I can't give you her dorm address without her phone without her permission. It's not making much progress. I can tell you that Tanwin's died. Tanwin? That's her magical name, which she took when she dedicated herself to the craft. It means sacred fire. The comic book store girl. I see. Well, that's good to know. Did you want me to give her a message? I have to check with my students. Thank you very much for your time. Have a blessed day. I hang up the phone and stand there for a moment, just looking at it. Then rush to the pizza parlor and drag Jackie away from her game and waving at the cashier as we leave. What? Millie is Tanwin! I quick relate what I heard from Moonrise. So, wow, they said something about Millie. Anyway, I quickly relate what I heard from Moonrise. It was staring us in the face all along. Fire star, fire starter. They even had similar plots about an organization trying to control a girl with fire powers. And her lucky crystal was a carnelian, which draws from the power of the sun and the element of fire. No wonder she knew who Alex and Eduardo were. They all went to the same school. Forget about the boys. We know who really did this now. We have a lead and a suspect and a viable theory, but we don't have evidence, not even circumstantial. Not yet. Well, we can steal her crystal pyramid to get her fingerprints? No. Can we steal her crystal pyramid to get her fingerprints? The police department is not allowed to steal in order to investigate, at least under current regulations. To check her fingerprints, we'd either have to have them on file, have enough reason to arrest her, or we'd have to get them from an item that didn't belong to her, and we have the right to take. So if she threw something away, that would be fair game? Legally, if she throws something away in her own trash can, or her workplace's trash can, it's still either her property or property of the garbage company. She'd have to deliberately give something to us or abandon it in public. Okay, so what can we do? I have to admit, brainstorming like this is very exciting. I feel like a real detective. If we get fingerprints off comics, she'll hand those to us when we buy them. A comic book isn't an ideal surface. We want something that isn't absorbent so that the fingerprint stands out on it better. And if it's been out in the store, lots of people would have touched it already. Guess you can't polish a comic book clean. What, can you? No, not a comic, but I may have an idea. Shall we? Walk back to the car and Jackie opens the door for me. I'm not sure she even knows she was doing it. I don't protest, I just pull my feet in so we can get moving. A bookstore? Paperback books. A nice shiny new book cover ought to pick up fingerprints nicely, and I can clean it in the car. She's so pleased with herself. She looks like a kid at a candy store. She looks so gorgeous like this. I mean, they both do, but Jackie's the one in the foreground. How is buying a book here going to get you the fingerprints of someone in a different store? That is a professional secret. We weave between shelves, homing in on the fantasy and science fiction section. I've never understood why bookstores like to give the biggest displays to general or literary fiction and don't talk to specialized genres, mystery, romance, sci-fi, to lesser corners. I don't get it either. Everyone knows this genre of fans that keep consistently coming back for more. Romance readers buy books by the truckload. I used to read a lot of romance books, and then I just got tired of the fact that the tropes were all the same. There are a few books that stood out that I would really love to get again. Because mostly it was my mom's romance books that I read, and she got rid of them. Of course, if they know we're desperate and dedicated, they probably can afford to make us work a little harder for our treats. We're like cute little hamsters studying the labyrinth to find our carrots, so the mainstream will only gobble up whatever's first put in frame of them. Aha, just what I wanted. She bends over to snag a tile off the shelf, coincidentally displaying the shape of her backside with the fabric of her pants tightened across it. They're looking. I quickly focused my attention on the books in front of me instead. Oh, what's this and a room-covered sword? The simple things in life. Didn't have this one yet. See? Huh? I have to turn back to look and see what she told me. It's a book. It's a Rosalind Perry book. She's my favorite author. Ah! Yes! She reads my book. She likes my book. Does she realize? Is this a prank or a test, some kind of interrogation technique? Have you ever read these? I've heard of her. She has no idea, does she? No, she does not. That makes it even better. Should I tell her? She has no reason to believe me. She has no reason to doubt me either, but no, it's just too complicated. It would sound like I was trying to impress her. I've met enough men at those dreadful publishing events who lie to me about how famous they are over champagne and cocktail sausages. So, are you buying that on company time? Hey, I'm not taking advantage. This is a genuine sacrifice. I'm going to have to give this to the lab for tests. It could be weeks before I get it back so I can read it. She genuinely likes my book. I don't often meet and interact with guests. I had an offer to be a guest speaker at Mid-South-Con once, but I didn't dare. It's too close to home. What if someone recognized me? When I was just a newly budding baby author, I did fantasize that some woman in the world would read my book, fall in love with me, and send me letters, and would be swept off into a grand romance. Typical author. In reality, the only people dedicated enough to spend time helping my publisher are either teenagers or people whose grip on reality is too tenuous for my taste. They're called fanatics for a reason. Jackie would never write any sort of dashing letter, I'm sure. I don't know how I would have handled it if I'd received a fan letter from my former girlfriend. Laughed until I cried and then made myself sick on banana ice cream, I suppose. Banana? Why not chocolate? Are you alright? Fine. Did you want to buy something? No, not right now. I'm watching my pennies. Alright, I'll just get this and we can go. You signed my book. Jackie pushes the door open for me and holds it there, her hands displayed just above my eye height. I see the straps and stitching of her black leather gloves. Back when we were in college, when she'd worn gloves like that, they would have been studded with rhinestones or silver spikes. Her look is more professional now. But some elements are still the same as they ever were. Oh, hey, you guys again. Can't eat just one, huh? I smile nervously and look away. I don't trust my acting skills enough to interact with her. Luckily, Shy is pretty well in keeping with what she'd expect from me. Hey, gentlemen, are there any new Sword and Sorcerer comics out now that Sonya's canceled? Sorry, the old sweaty fancy is kind of going out of fashion. The way I see it, aliens are the next big thing. To interest you in adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters? No thanks. She browses the racks a bit. Hey, this'll do. She holds up an issue featuring a woman in a skimpy red outfit wielding some kind of daggers. The art style is unusually sketchy for a comic book, and I can't make out any more detail than that. Oh, good choice if you like gritty. She's got a huge body count. Yeah? Jackie moves to the cash register, setting down the comics she's buying and the books she was carrying with her. Yeah, they're not even allowed to sell this on the newsstands. To get the comics sold, you've got to come to a specialty shop. She rings up the purchase and takes Jackie's cash. Of course, you already support the shop. Yeah. Jackie takes it back and walks back to meet me. Let's go. Okay. As we reach the door, Jackie again pulls it open and beckons me through. Hey, wait! She holds up the paperback with bare fingertips against its smooth cover. You forgot your book. Look. Walk back to the passenger seat, still giggling with relief. Jackie remains perfectly calm as she drops the book into a Ziploc evidence bag, never removing her gloves. Come on, look happy, we did it! Then she cracks a tiny smile. There she cracks a tiny smile. I suppose we did. We make a pretty good team, don't we? There I go again. Look, I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep making things awkward, it's just hard figuring out what to say. I'm sure that's probably true for you too. But we all are working together and we're doing a good job. We should be proud of that. I wonder what our lives might have been like if we'd stayed together. Would it have been like this all the time? Holmes and Watson, Cagney, and Lucy? We'll never know. Jackie grips the steering wheel, staring straight ahead, ignition untouched. Are you alright? Everyone lies. Right? Are you feeling guilty for tricking Tanwin? They did know each other, at least casually. As she's innocent, the prince was clear. Not Tanwin. She takes a deep breath, which comes back out shaking. I've lied to you, but you believe things that aren't true. I need to come clean. Okay? I already know about the infidelity and the drinking. What else is there to come clean about? You were my first proper girlfriend. Certainly not the first girl I kissed or even my first lover. But you were my first relationship. I didn't know how to have a relationship. I felt like all my experience had been dirty compared to you. You deserved something better, and I didn't know how to give it to you. I looked at the movies and didn't decide if I was supposed to be the lone cowboy or preach the glass slipper, but I knew it was my job to protect you. I wanted to make things perfect for you, and if I was good enough at taking care of you, then that would make me good enough as a person, because I didn't think I would. What do you mean? I was trash with a bad past. Done crimes, been in fights, slept around. I told my bad folks that I was a mistake. I wasn't good enough for you, and eventually you'd figure that out. What are you talking about? I never thought you weren't good enough. You didn't have to. I knew it, or at least I believed it. And I believed that's what you would think if you ever realized what I really was. I tried to make myself look perfect for you. That meant keeping you away, so you wouldn't see the truth. I couldn't tell you when I was failing a class or when I had to drop one to take more shifts to pay for the credits. Failing? But you're smart. Only you thought that. I'm not good at essays and tests. I don't always have the background. Remember how much you had to coach me when we were freshmen? I felt bad about making you do that all the time, so I stopped telling you when I was struggling. But I wanted to help you. She's saying it was my fault? I know. The way I was then, I thought that being a burden on you would drag you down. It would mean I wasn't being a good provider, and that would mean I had failed. I needed help, but I didn't want you to see it. So I took myself away from it. I started drinking too much. I know. No, you don't. You think you do. That's why this is so hard. I don't want you to think that I'm making this up just to get you to forgive me. I feel terrible for you think this is all just some pathetic attempt. She leans her head into her hands, fingers pushing through her hair. Careful, don't honk the horn. That electrical snort, which very nearly does drive her elbows into the wrong side of the wheel. She sits up again, shaking her head. Okay, don't interrupt. Let me try. I was drinking a lot. One night, I drank way too much. Enough that I don't really remember everything that happened. When I woke up the next morning, I was in Carol's apartment, on her couch. My clothes were on, my shoes were off, and I had no idea how I got there. I was really scared. Wait, was that the night that she didn't come home? When she got up, I asked her what happened. She said that a guy excited in the bar and pulled her up to dance with me, that I kissed her, in public, in an ordinary straight bar. And that almost ticked off a whole bar, but she convinced the frat boys I was too drunk to know what I was doing, which was true. And then I got sick, and she dragged me out and took me home with her. And then I hit the couch and passed out, and she slept alone. At least that's what she said. This must have been a different night then. I don't remember her going missing before that. If she told me she was planning to stay out or visit someone or her class schedules were strange enough, I might not have noticed. Maybe this was how they first got together. Even then, I can't remember for sure. Carol says we never had sex, but I can't say certain. I could have done anything with anyone. Not that night is the same as never. It's actually not so direct. I didn't choose to betray you, at least not awake and not sober. I just found out that it had happened, might have happened, would happen. Even if it hadn't happened that time, I knew then that it was going to happen eventually. It was inevitable. I was no prince, just some clueless drunk who couldn't hold it together. If I stayed with you, sooner or later, I was going to cheat on you. That's why I went home and broke up with you. Wait, I don't understand. You slept with Carol. That's why you dumped me. No, I made you think I slept with Carol, because I was totally bugging out, and I thought I had to cut things off as soon as possible before you got hurt. Before? Are you saying you came home that day and crushed me, threw me away, so that you wouldn't hurt me? You broke up with me to avoid breaking up with me? That's your explanation? I know. I realize it's incredibly stupid. I wasn't thinking straight. I was hungover and I hated myself and I felt like going on any longer with you, letting you think you loved me was cruel. I need you to know what a piece of what I was. I convinced myself I was doing this to protect you and you'd be better off without me. You'd have this great, happy life and all the things I couldn't give you. I told myself I was being noble, that making myself miserable meant I was doing the right thing. But the only way I could prove I loved you was to leave and never look back. Now that is all stupid. But I think now that I was being a coward. It was easier to tear my life apart on purpose than to live in fear of it collapsing. Instead of worrying you find out I didn't deserve you, I made sure of it. My mind feels like someone's dropped all my folders and I'm struggling to put the pages back together again, but nothing's delivered in one piece that's the same as another. If we weren't in a car, I'd walk away. Not running away, just to walk to keep my body moving until my brain can catch up again. It's not safe to do that here. I'm so distracted I might walk into traffic. What happened after that? What? You and Carol, did you move in with her? Did you date? Not exactly. Would you believe it if I said you were my first girlfriend and my last? Since I decided that, it's been hookups, businesswomen looking for a fling, meet them in the rainbow bars sometimes, ladies looking for an adventure and nothing more. Never anyone who became part of my life. I thought that was me being mature. I realized that it wasn't. Things. Like the other day when you had plans? Yeah, no, that was a lie too. I wasn't sleeping and seeing anyone that night. I just wanted an excuse to get away. These idiots, right? From me. Can't disagree. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. I'm not pressuring you to forgive me. Please don't feel that you don't do anything because you think you have to. I want you to know the truth. I want you to know that I was wrong, and I know I was wrong, and I regret everything. I made so many stupid choices, but they all started with lying to you. I wanted you to know. I can't do this. I can't even look at her. I think I'm going to be sick. Please take me home. I'm afraid for a moment that she might reach out to touch me, to try and comfort me. If she did, I'd probably scream. But after a long pause, I hear the engine start up, and we're moving again. Yeah, I mean, she's dropped a bomb on Diane. I don't blame her for wanting to get away and just get some time to herself. And her dog. I know Timmy is jumping around my feet, but the sound of his barking feels very removed, like an echo down a long tunnel. I should do something. Petty? I don't know. I can't think. Push the door closed behind me with my foot, key still gripped in my hand. What am I going to do? How am I supposed to feel now? If she's telling the truth, everything that's happened since that night has been nothing but one huge, stupid mistake. If Jackie had been willing to talk to me with honesty all those years ago, where would we be now? Does the past even matter anymore if we both changed? I walked to the couch, head swaying like a balloon on a stick, and then sink into the cushions. Timmy wakes up to repeat his hellos, and I rub his fur without really feeling it. We worked well together. We still have so many interests in common. Neither of us has ever found another permanent relationship to connect to. If you told me if I'd ask questions instead of assuming the worst, we'd have the strength to hold on to each other and refuse to let go. There's no way to get those years back. Do I want to try again? Does she? She didn't say she did. She didn't say she didn't. She wouldn't say anything. She doesn't want to pressure me. After all, none of this is new to her. I'm the one who's spinning. If Jack and I were meeting for the first time, she was a strange policewoman with gorgeous eyes and taste for fantasy who's guiding me through this mystery. I would absolutely be falling for her. Honey, you're still falling for her, all over again. But we have a past, and we can't just set it aside, can we? I fought so hard to get her out of my heart, and I've failed every time. I've never let go. I've never moved on. I've never stopped. I'm so confused. My fist clenches, and I wince as the uneven blades of my house keys dig into my fingers. I grip for my purse, pulling it up under the couch, and shove my hand inside to put the keys away. My fingers touch something unexpected. Hold on. What? Smooth, hard, and cold, almost tingly. I let go of the keys and pull the foreign object free. What? The future is now. So difficult to say yes. I have a vision of 2 a.m. for what I want, and I'm going to reach out and control my future. But if you don't control your future, then someone or something else will. Your membership begins with a professional makeover and coaching session. Help you look your best in your personal video pitch. Our team of experts will guide you through every step to bring out your unique selling point. There are more than 60 million adult men and women in the United States who are looking to make that same connection. Let us help you by bringing together modern technology with old-fashioned romance. Through video dating, you can be on the road to empowerment and romantic fulfillment. Join now. Really? There we go. Okay, so that's it for that. Yeah, that was just quite the bombshell on Diane. But yeah, it's become clear exactly what happened between them all those years ago, and it's gonna take some sorting out to get things between them established between them. Okay, so next week we go to the next part. I think that's the last part. 2 hours. Oh boy, it's a lot. So there was another fire. I was about to say there wasn't, but there was. I had to work with Betty. There's some connections there. They're not sure what the connections are, but they're there. We will find out more, obviously. We'll find out who's doing all this shit. Yeah. If you enjoyed this, there will be a link in the description to the game it's available on itch and Steam. The developer, Hanako Games, has their own website, but it's just linked to itch and Steam. They get a bigger cut from itch because Steam takes a bigger cut out of takes a bigger portion for their commission. I don't know if I'm going to play any more games by the developer. I was looking at them and I'm just like, I don't know. There may be an extra week before the new Challengers comes out, which is a sequel to Arcade Spirits, which I will definitely be playing. I will probably play a demo. There's a few demos that I want to get through. I have So I should be available next. I should be streaming next week unless something comes up. It will most likely be Wednesday. But yeah, until then, have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.